So, Jack, I'm excited about this because we know each other, but not well. And I have so, well, I'm so intrigued by what you've accomplished, and I have so much respect for what you've accomplished. I've never met anybody that doesn't have positive things to say about you when your name comes up. So, like if I'm in a meeting and some reason your name comes up, it's every time it's positive. So that's something you should be proud of, and it makes me want to know you better. And so I jumped at the chance to do this. So I'm glad you're doing it. I appreciate your time.
No, I'm happy to do it.
So tell me about your business. I mean, my view is you're in lots of different markets. I mean, just give me the basics on your business and like what asset classes you're in, et cetera, so everybody kind of knows what you do, other than what they see in the paper.
So I'd say most of our equity is in land. We're heavy in land in Vancouver, Canada, outside of Vancouver, a little bit in Toronto, almost, I'd say about 40% in the Dallas area.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably our biggest equity. Our biggest revenues come from large buildings, so hotels, offices, condominiums, all that type of stuff. I
So
think
you build to keep mostly?
Sorry?
You build to keep mostly or buy to keep?
No, I would say we keep maybe 20% of, probably a little bit less than that of what we actually build.
Mm-hmm.
And it used to be we would only, develop things we would own.
Yeah.
But I really got pushed and pushed and pushed to develop for other people, which I'd done when I was younger in the construction business.
Right.
So it's really, we have a hotel division that up until 8 months ago, they had, I think they had probably $3 billion of work on the books. But that's down to maybe 300 million
Right.
of work. But I think most of that will come back again. It's just not coming back quick.
Okay, so are you in all asset classes then?
So we do industrial primarily in Canada, although we do have some industrial land here, but usually we just buy it, entitle it, sell it. In Canada, we'll actually buy for a user. So for instance, we're partners with CN Rail in Canada, in Calgary, where we've done a number of industrial buildings, but we'll actually sell them before we build them.
Got it. So when you buy land, are you buying land to invest and develop, or just get out in front of growth and sell to a developer that wants to develop it?
So, for instance, the Tribute, we bought somewhere around 1,500 acres of land over a long period of time.
Yeah.
So we developed it out, ended up selling to builders for the majority of it. But we'll build a hotel there. We'll own some residential at the end of the day, and we'll own the 2 golf courses.
Awesome.
So it's
I own a golf course, and it's not a lot of fun. Are you enjoying owning golf courses?
We have 3 golf courses, and I hate to tell you, they all make money.
Oh my gosh! You know what? Maybe after this we're gonna have to talk. Maybe you can give me some direction, because I've owned a golf course 13 years, and every year it's been in the red. It's been it hadn't been as much fun as I thought it would be.
Yeah, I built a golf course, a Tribute, leased it to American Golf.
Yeah.
And so I just did a lease, and then they weren't operating it the way I wanted it operated, so I built the Old American as a private resort club. So we'll put the hotel. We took back the Tribute from an operating standpoint, and they both do very well.
Awesome. Okay, so what's your philosophy on picking a market? I mean, why are you in Dallas? Why did you come?
About 28 years ago, I was asked by the company I worked for to find a market outside of Canada that basically had the same business ethics, was one flight away from Toronto, and they spoke English. that was my direction. So I
Uh-huh.
got down to 3 markets: Southern California, Southern Florida, and Texas. Texas was the most beat up at the time, and
Yeah.
I thought had the most potential.
Right.
So I chose, Dallas, Texas to invest in. I left the family company, going to the airport business, and 3 years later had a chance to buy the Dallas company.
Yeah.
So in '94, I bought the Dallas company.
And is that when you moved to Dallas?
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. And tell me about your family, because I don't know about your family. Kids, wife.
I just have 4 children.
4. Any of them in the business?
My son is in the business. My oldest daughter, my guess is she'll be in the business. But
Awesome.
right now she's in Denver. She's got 3 kids.
Uh-huh.
My son is in Vancouver. And I've got a daughter in Long Island, Port Jefferson, and a daughter here in Dallas.
So how many grandkids?
Just 3.
Awesome. 3's pretty good. I've got 3, and grandkids are a great deal in my opinion. I mean, you get them when you want them, and they leave when you don't. It's
To me, grandkids are the most fun you can have. Period.
I completely agree. I mean, I don't get enough time with my grandkids. They're the best. Okay, so how did you get into commercial real estate? Why did you
Why did I pick Dallas, or why did I pick?
No, what real estate? How did you get into the business to start?
It picked me, really. My father's construction company, interest rates went from 6 to 18%. He had a bunch of, I think he had the largest CAT equipment fleet in Canada at the time, and you could not work that stuff 24 hours a day and make money.
Mm-hmm.
So I basically got into all the different pieces of land he had, different assets he had, and turned them into cash. No one was buying anything unless it was a leased building or a gas station site or something. So I ended up in the development business purely out of need, and then found out I liked it a lot better than construction. So that's
so was the goal when you were doing that is looking to liquidate assets?
Yeah, it was purely finding cash.
Got it.
Purely finding cash. But
you found the first you had to develop to create value.
Yeah, so one of the first deals I did was a medical dental building. Partnered with a number of doctors and dentists, and filled up the building, built it, and sold it, and everyone was happy. But really, what I wanted to do was just sell the land.
Right.
Ended up making money on the actual building as well.
Okay. So, like, I've always found, for me, I've learned more from my mistakes than from my wins. Yeah. Do you have one or 2 deals or mistakes you made that maybe you could? And
I wish I had 1 or 2.
So yeah, I'm with you. But any that taught you a lesson that kind of that maybe is made you put into practice something where you'll never go do that again. Maybe, like, for me, one I've learned, I want to work with a lender I know. It's all about the people, in my opinion. So I bet on people, and it's about the people I'm doing a deal with. Like, when I was early in my career, if somebody give me the money, I'd take it. And today I won't. I mean, we just need to be aligned. And it's just from learning that you get into a deal and you've got different morality views and just different views on business, and it just doesn't work. But I was wondering if there's been any situation in your business that kind of
I basically
change things.
Yeah, so basically I have rules for myself that come out of bad situations.
Yeah.
And so one of the rules is I always invest in my deals.
Yes.
And my money goes right beside whatever other money comes in. Mm-hmm. The other thing is I don't make any fee profit. I'll put the expenses of operating, so an accounting expense and that type of expense in, but I won't make any profit until all the capital is returned and an interest is paid on that capital. So I never want to be in a position where I'm making money and no one else is.
You're not. You're lying totally. So do you earn fees? You just don't get them out until everybody's covered, or do you not charge them?
No, and we're definitely on the low side of fees. My CFO's explained to me on more than one occasion we only collect about half of what we spend in recouping our fees, so we're low. But But the end result is you don't lose investors ever.
Right.
You treat their money better than your own,
Right.
and it works. So.
And any deal that kind of went in the ditch that like taught you a lesson other than that? I mean, like I know 07, 8, 9 leverage was one thing I learned. I I had really, I thought, good basis, but leverage is where I had an issue. And then leverage with lenders I had no relationship with. I mean, I had the capital to pay them down, but it was just a lesson I learned. Anything like that?
Yeah, sure. Lots of things like that. So I am very low leverage.
Yeah.
I think if you had looked across, our companies were probably in the 15 to 20% leveraged. So
Wow.
very, very low. Now I use a lot of equity. So I share a lot of upside. The way I describe sharing upside is I'm selling risk.
Right.
Yeah, I'll make less when something happens, but I'm always there when it happens.
Right.
I never want to be in a position where I'm not there after I've seen something.
Right. And so what about philosophies with leading your company and or like you're in so many different asset classes and you've got an expansive business. You got to have great people, right? I mean, are you a delegator? Are you one that's involved in everything, or what's your view there?
So I've got a bunch of different views, and you probably get a better answer talking to some of my guys. But I'm a very trusting leader. I lead by example in the sense I work very hard. I'm very disciplined, whether it's personal life or what have you. But leading by example, I share profits. So I don't pay. I probably pay under market in salary, and I definitely over bonus. So my guys can make great money. They're all people who can get it done themselves, and they learn when to come back to me. So they learn, okay, if this problem is outside their normal deal, they got to come back and talk. So it's, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, if you have quality people, one, everybody I've met that works for you, I actually have been impressed with them as people and professionals. But I mean, when you get somebody that's good, you've got to be taking care of them, or there has to be value between the relationship, or they'll leave, right? So obviously, whatever you're doing is right.
It's it's fine. I got told this by a friend of mine, Fritz Duda, that he had met. I think it was he had met with I think the chairman of Coke, who was outgoing, who told him. Fritz asked him, "How do you manage all these people?" He said, "Well, I have a very interesting hiring philosophy. I divide people into patriots and mercenaries, and I'll hire both, but I know what a patriot is going to look after the company and all the people around him first. Then he'll look after himself. The mercenary may be more effective, go out and get a job completed, but he'll go for $1 more somewhere else." And so I think he had a high ratio of patriots. So I looked at my company after he told me this, because I never thought of it that way. It actually made, I have a incredibly high number of patriots. But I do have some mercenaries that are out doing some things that get stuff done.
Right.
But the mercenary using a rifle approach, but most of my guys, they're all battling to get it done for the good of everyone.
Right. One of the hardest things for me in business has been losing a good employee, or as I've changed so much. I mean, I softened about mid 40s and became so much. I was so focused on growing and building a business, and I've learned it's not at all about the money. It's about focusing on the client and just doing what's right for the client. That's exactly what you're saying in your way. But like when you get somebody, it's so hard to find good people. And like I've found that, I'm going to go back and look at what I've got compared to what you just said, because it makes a lot of sense there. But a good, loyal, functioning employee is just worth gold. I mean, because it hurts to lose people. You spend a lot of time and you like them. I mean, they become your friends. My business is my family. Feel
Yeah.
that way too, it sounds like.
No, the people you spend most of the time you're closest to, you enjoy their company, are the people you work with for the most part.
So, I mean, I think you've said this, but one of our questions was like leadership. I mean, beyond what you've talked about, do you have any kind of um, things you think about in leading your company?
I'm not a great communicator. I expect people to know what I'm thinking, which is
Uh-huh.
a huge I don't know, downfall. But
Yeah.
it works because I've got people around who really listen and explain to others what's going on. So
Uh-huh.
I'm always trying to figure out what's around the corner,
Right.
and sometimes I forget to tell my guys what I've discovered before the corner.
Right.
And but it works. We get through it. So.
And so you've been with COVID, right? I'm an optimist, and like going into COVID, I thought it was going to be, I don't know, 4 to 6 months. And again, I didn't know what COVID was, but
Yeah.
early on, I was very optimistic that we'd figure it out and move on. I'm now thinking it's next year about this time, before we kind of get vaccinated and everybody's kind of starting to move forward. I'm a very bullish on Dallas long term, but what's your view? Like, you've been through downturns before. I mean, what's your approach? I mean, your team, how do you keep them focused? I mean, how do you deal with issues in those kind of
Because I would say through COVID, our experience is a little different than most I hear about. Because the offices are open, but no one is required to go in.
Right.
So what happens is generally, if you walk into one of our offices right now, the accounting staff is probably there at 30%, but everyone's getting their job done. The efficiency of being on a call versus driving to a meeting is incredible. Our workload has gone up in many areas. So from a production point of view, it hasn't hurt us at all. Our communication with the key guys is really strong. But I think it's a function of what we were, because we're all over, in the sense we're in Philadelphia, we're in Toronto, we're in Calgary, we're in South Florida, in different cities. So we're all over the place to start with. And so we were doing a lot of things remotely, even though we never thought of it as doing it remotely. So so as a result, we were kind of built for this environment without ever knowing it. So it's affected, like the hotel business, it's affected seriously, but we've never been busier on industrial. The residential market's great.
What do you think has changed in our business because of COVID? Do you think people are not going to come back to the office the way they were? Do you think they're going to have a lot of people working from home? What do you think's changed?
So
like,
we're currently working on one office deal. Up until 2 weeks ago, we're working on two office deals. Neither one here, but both of them wanted the same thing. They wanted a building that was effectively built for a pandemic, in the sense of high ceilings, fresh air, escalators, not elevators. And it's kind of like, in my mind, designing the old Southside, the old, warehouse.
Right.
Really don't want to get over about 4 stories, big floor plates. But it's, so I think people don't want to be in a glass box. And you and I have done a lot of glass boxes.
Yeah.
I think when you talk to the people in New York and LA who are looking at coming here, I think they're actually not in step yet with where their people are. When they're looking for office space, they're buying a commodity almost. But at the end of the day, their users, the people that they'll they'll want something that's much more flexible. So I believe strongly it's going to change. Even when the pandemic's gone, people want to future-proof. They may, certainly people do forget fast.
Right.
But this one, I don't know, what are we at? 250,000 people who have died in this, and
Right.
9/11, I think, was around 3,000.
Mm-hmm.
That's you think of the shock.
Right. So do you think that, so you obviously think that they're going to use space differently. I mean, do you think, I kind of think the next 3 to 4 years, anybody who has a lease coming up is going to shrink, because I think that people are going to try to have a percentage of people have more flexible, work at home if they want, but also maybe keep a office environment that they can come to. Do you think any of those shifts are permanent?
Hey, I can only tell you my crystal ball is only good for about 18 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
After
Right.
three years to get stuff. But I can argue the opposite. They'll need more space because you won't
Right.
have 5 per thousand and on. So if you have 2 per thousand, or rotating workforces, some people need offices.
Right. I do.
Yeah.
I like being at the office personally because of the collaboration.
Yeah. See, I can get our collaboration going on the Zoom call
On the Zoom. Yeah.
or the telephone pretty well. But.
Okay. Like for me, what COVID did for me was the slower pace. Like I'm always running from, I think I build fires to chase. Like I'm the dog chasing the bus. I love work, and I just do. And I mean, like I'm a golfer, but not a good one. But if you had to ask me to pick golf or work, I'd pick work, because I just get more enjoyment out of it.
Sure.
And my focus on work is different today than it was when I was in my 40s. It's about giving people paths to success and just creating opportunities for other people. And it's more relational than it's ever been in my career. But one thing that COVID taught me, which was really an eye opener for me, is I kind of liked the more balanced living. Jack, I actually think I figured out finally, and I'm in my, late 67, that balance, I've always been working towards balance, but I think I've really kind of got more of a balance in my life. And again, I pick my spots, I work hard, but I'm not a guy that wants to visit at work. I just want to get things done so I can go also live my life. Did you have anything like that hit you during COVID? Or were
Not
you
during
already?
COVID. No, it happened during my airport deals in Toronto, where I was basically working 90, 100 hours a week.
Uh-huh.
And I came home and found out my daughter had been walking for 3 months, and I didn't know. So I was like, okay. So when I moved to Texas, I really stopped working on the weekends.
Yeah.
It's a rare weekend where I have a meeting or something. So it's, yeah, I work hard, but I limit it to certain hours.
Okay. And so like during Monday through Friday, or how many hours a week would you say you work on Monday through Friday? I mean, are you working?
Probably 55, something like that.
Okay, it's fair. Yeah, that's good balance. That's good, in my opinion. I mean, because I'll get home at a reasonable time to have dinner with my family, but then once we have all the family time, my wife gives me an hour or two to go back and clean up emails and stuff, to where she'll
So
go
I'm not,
read a book or whatever.
I'm not allowed to clean up those emails after I come home.
That's great. That's even better.
Yeah, I used to do that, and then she said, I sit on the couch doing my emails, and she said, why don't you just stay at the office? I said, okay, I think I just learned something here.
I think your wife's smart.
Oh, she's definitely
And you know
smart.
what? I think you're smart enough to pay attention too.
I try.
So do you ever think about failure? Do you have fear of it? I mean, does it even enter your mind, or you just keep moving forward?
I used to, but the feel of failure was, making payroll, have enough money to put your kids in school,
Yeah.
all that sort of stuff. It's, I've been up and down a few times. And so, when I moved to Texas, I really started over, like completely over. Put a mortgage on the house, sold my house in Toronto, and just started over. When you do that, it's the best time you'll ever have, but you don't do it again.
Exactly.
The best stories.
I completely agree. I can tell you, right. You don't want to go back there. It's not a fear, but it's always probably accomplished a fair amount, but in the end, they end up, they haven't accumulated anything. They have no security in their life. It's a constant deal. And that's my number one goal in life, is to never end up there. I mean, because real estate is such an illiquid business. When it goes again, like in hotels, if you had high leverage, you'd be getting a lot more pressure than you have with the leverage the way you said you're doing it.
Yeah.
And you are much more stable investor through thick and thin, and you can make it to the other side because of your conservative approach.
Yeah. Yeah. Your finance books would say I'm doing it all wrong, but as a life, it's for me, it's the right way to go.
Right. I completely agree. So let's say if you were 25, 28, 30, just getting started in the real estate business, what advice would you have for people? How do you get to where you got? You've got all this going on. You've accomplished all this.
So when I moved here, I did a number of, small lots. So I'd buy an acre, divide it into 4 or 5 lots. I'd buy 2 acres.
Mm-hmm.
I was just trying to make money to get to the next deal next. And so on a personal basis, no private plane. I don't spend much money. We live I'm in the same house that I was when I moved here 26 years ago. When you don't have the spend side of life, so what I see a lot of guys do, they do well on a deal, and then they assume they're going to do well on the next 5 deals. So they get the roles or whatever. They have the new memberships, and then
Right.
It doesn't work that way. So
Right.
you and I've both seen that so many times. So I would say to a young guy starting in the business, or a young lady starting in the business, it's all about your reputation. Just your reputation is everything to your investors, to the cities, to the city managers, to whoever you deal with. Protect it. Like, your handshake has to be your bond, which is old fashioned, but it's the way it's got to be.
Mm-hmm.
Even when people don't expect it, surprise them. And then just do stuff that's within your reach. So it was, I had all the talent of building the big buildings. That's what I did in Canada, a lot of it. But I came here and I did housing deals, just trying to build. So, and then I would basically take that profit, put it into a piece of land, and sit there. And that's just kept on, rinse and repeat.
Right. Because like one of the things, like I tell young people when they come talk to me, is you're never going to have more flexibility in your life than right now when you're young. Like you get married, then you get a mortgage. I mean, all those things limit your flexibility to take advantage of opportunity in real estate. So because, I mean, I have people that come to me that are in selling life insurance, whatever, another industry, and they want to get into real estate in their mid-30s and they're married with 2 kids and a mortgage. They got to go get a salary, and so they're limited. So I think that advice is very good. I mean, it's about having the flexibility to make a commitment to do what it takes to succeed, right?
Yeah, and some people would look at me and say my balance there is not good, and I also have a fear of giving too much money to kids, because I've seen kids destroyed by money.
Yeah.
So I spend a lot of my time right now actually figuring out ways to share partnerships with charities and all that good stuff, and that's incredibly fulfilling. So
Right.
It's a
Giving back.
Yeah, giving back without. I don't like the idea of just writing checks. So what I try to do is put charities in deals, and
It's such a great idea.
so I use my expertise and they get to understand a little bit of the experience.
Right. So one of the things about I think giving is better than getting. I actually do too. I agree with you there. And one of the things for me is to do it quietly, because then I know I'm doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm not standing there giving you a check or making
the big oversized check here.
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
I always try to do it very quietly, because then I know I'm doing it for the right reason and in my heart. But I love the idea about, because I do pieces of deals into an entity that gives it away, but I like that idea. So I've learned something from you today. And secondly, I want to reiterate, I I've only met one person that where the kids had lots of wealth that wasn't a train wreck. I mean, so I agree with you. I think people have to go feel a self-worth and feel like they've earned what they've got, I think, to be productive in life. So I completely agree with you. Even though I think I could have been good at it if my dad would have left me a bunch of money. He never did. But I think I'm healthy enough to have handled it. But I totally agree with that. I tell my kids, I go, you're going to get a good education and some guidance, but you're on your own. And I think they need that. I think they need to know that they did it themselves.
So I tell them I'm a developer. I could go bankrupt any day. So just plan your own life without any thoughts of me.
Exactly. Okay, so what are you excited about looking forward?
Well, what am I excited about looking forward? That's a great question. It's a bunch of things. I deal with a group called Urban Specialists in South Dallas. Urban Specialists are made up of ex-cons, ex-drug dealers, ex-bad people who are devoting their life to teaching kids, young adults, that they have choices. And so I'm partnered with them in a couple of deals. So we bought 60 lots in Mill City, south of Fair Park.
Yeah.
And we're opening up this little thing called Doc's Convenience. And it's a production kitchen. It's a local coffee shop. It'll sell vegetables. You won't be able to buy Coke and chips there, but you'll be able to buy broccoli and what have you. So I think the name of the coffee shop is going to be called Arbucks.
I love it.
It's I don't have final approval with my partners on that yet, but I love it.
I love that name.
So it's a community gathering spot in a food desert, and so we've got 60 lots around it, and I do some housing in Houston, and I'm going to take that template and hopefully move it into Dallas, where people in the neighborhood will end up building the houses. In a perfect world, they end up owning the drywall company, the plumbing company, but that takes a long time to happen.
So you're going to let them get involved in actually building.
They're my 50% partner, and so it's anyway. Well, it's fun, but the future of basically going in these neighborhoods and trying to protect the existing people is huge.
Yes.
And so it's, for a developer making money, I'm doing it just completely wrong. But for someone who's, I think we can do some good. So it's really a small, little, tiny thing in the worldview, but it could be a big change.
Yeah. So like one of the things that's been a real reward for me about leading Trek this year, because it's been a weird year, no fight night, none of that, has been being alongside Linda in the South Dallas and what we're doing there. And also, like I did the, with Dardick and Craig Hall, we did the Shark Tank.
Yeah.
And Jack, going through, we're 2 years in on trying to get a deal done and with our developer. And it's not about, they have the want, but it's about having it be a teaching or a learning experience. So when it's like, we could go in and do it for them and then it'd be done, but that's not doing anything. You're not getting anything done.
You're not helping.
Right. It's been unbelievable. It's been frustrating, but rewarding because we've just committed to saying, you have to do it. We're here to help you, but you have to get it done. And I think we're going to get there, but it has been a real eye opener for me as to what the need is. I mean, because it's well beyond just giving them money. And I admire you for being there. And I will tell you, I am always going to be involved down there from here on out. Because when people, and this is just me, when people come to me and they want me to write a check for Biafra or, you know, I want to do Dallas. I want to do my home because there's a lot of needs here. Not that the other needs aren't real, but I also want to be involved. I don't want to just write the check. I want some tangible experience. So I make sure that whatever I'm doing, right, or I'm trying to make a difference. You know, you want it to be real.
Yeah, so I'll take you on a tour someday.
You know what I was going to ask? I would love to go down there and see that. I really would.
Okay. Yeah,
all right.
You'd love to meet the people, but my Omar Shawar, who's the head, he's just gotten out of the hospital after a month from COVID, and he's learning to walk again. He's learned to eat again. It's an incredibly tough deal.
So, was he on a ventilator?
Oh yeah, no, he was in a coma for 6 days.
Wow. You know, that disease is the craziest thing because virus, I guess it's not a disease, but you know, my daughter had it with no symptoms.
Yeah.
We all quarantined. None of us got it. Now, I've had employees that get it and they're in their mid-30s and it's been a 10-day deal. And then you get somebody, you know, but even young and old can get it and it can be significant. So
yeah.
It's something to definitely respect, but it's crazy. But listen, I want to thank you for your time today. I mean, you know, one of my goals would always be to get to know you better because I really, just outside looking in, I just think you got it figured out. And the one thing I know you got figured out is you're paying attention to your wife. Because like at home, when I get home, I'm cute. My wife says, "Why do you keep working?" I go, "Because when I say no at work, they listen." My wife's in charge, and I know she is, and I love it that way because she makes a lot better decisions than I do. But I just want you to know I appreciate you, and I respect you, and I appreciate you taking the time to do this.
No, enjoyed it very much.
Got it. Thanks.
Take care.